rub your hands together for our usual starting ritual, really. Nice and getting your fingers nice and warm, then tapping over your face. Then go over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder. And your arm. Side. Half your chest. Belly. Sit back. Let your weight drop down into the chair. And just sort of allow, in a sense, or wait for this releasing, dissolving feeling, particularly in the front of your body. And then just looking a bit more closely at your breathing. We've done this before, and this is quite a good sort of posture to do it in. So hands on your belly, just below your navel. And you're looking to feel just that very gentle rise and fall as you breathe in and out. It's not very noticeable, so you do have to really focus your attention. You could try just producing that effect deliberately a couple of times, but don't do it more than that because you'll end up straining and that won't be helpful. Then coming up to the solar plexus, just below the ribs. Usually here it's a bit more obvious, I think. The lungs are quite close to there, of course, so just behind that point. So again, expanding as you breathe in, contracting as you breathe out. And then move one hand back down to the first position, and that lower hand should move slightly before the top hand. And that's as you breathe in. As you breathe out, it's the other way around. The top hand lowers down, then the bottom hand. So you get the feeling of the whole of your upper body seems to fill up from your hips and your belly up towards the shoulders. Notice that you're probably sort of bracing your back, hips or buttocks against the chair a little bit to help you. Just do that one more time. And take your hands down. Now bring the feet in, back to this upright position. So the problem here, so far as the breathing is concerned, that you won't have the same support for your back and hips in the upright position as you do laying back. And of course, when you come to standing, that's even more true. So what's going to support your back ultimately is your hips, your legs, your rooting down, and that stronger inner quality, that inner strength that we've got. So all these various aspects of posture. So although you may have got a sense for this, what we refer to as bellows breathing or abdominal breathing, the body expanding from the belly, that expansion working up, creating a vacuum that draws the air down into your lungs and creating a space for the lungs to expand down into. Actually, you're only really going to be able to make that happen, or to allow that to happen. You certainly don't want to make it happen when your posture allows it. So this is why I always say that your posture and breathing are very, very interlinked. It can be helpful to have an idea of what you're trying to achieve with the breathing in the long term, but don't expect to necessarily be there straight away. So, you know, if it's useful to you to focus on that aspect of the breathing, then use that. If not, practice it occasionally, laying down or sitting back in a nice supportive chair, just for a few moments, really, no more than a minute or two to start off with, and gradually your body will kind of build the posture that you need to help you with that. So supported by your feet, supported by your hips, supported by this column-like feeling going up through the middle of your body. Your head resting on your shoulders, chin pulled in, nice long feeling through your back. Building into what is hopefully a familiar quality as you sit. Quite open and expansive in the upper part of your body, quite soft in sort of the big muscles. They're working, but they're not straining. And the sort of parallel quietening, dropping of your thoughts. Like water, like muddy water in a jar where the mud just settles. And with that settling comes an even greater awareness of your body. What's happening there. And then just turning your head. So what we want to be able to do as we go through the exercise is not shake the jar. In other words, not to stir up the mud. And that can be quite difficult with some of the exercises because you can get quite complex. So this quality of being still, being centered, really is one of the key things that we're trying to build and to cultivate in Tai Chi. And it's not always immediately obvious how important that is to the physical movements. But without that awareness behind the movements, it's very hard to get the movements correct. So if your thoughts are too distracted, everybody gets distracted, but we always try and bring our attention back. Or if they're too full of, oh, I can't do this, or too busy with the arms or whatever, the first priority is to redirect your attention. And then your shoulders. The redirection is a straightforward matter. It's not complicated. It's simply bringing your attention back to your feet, the hips, your waist. And that's true whichever posture you're in, whether you're seated or you're standing, whichever exercise you're doing. So that should become a very familiar pathway for your attention. And then going forwards. And then hands down to your sides. Thoughts will intrude, but if you don't sort of amplify them, they'll also pass away. Somebody described thoughts as being like clouds blown across the sky. And just remind yourself that you don't need to follow up those thoughts at the moment. Anything important, you'll have plenty of time to work on. But a lot of it is fairly unimportant anyway, just random forwards. And then winding around. So you bring your attention back to your feet, your hips, your weight, and the movement, the exercise, feeling what's happening inside. So here, can you feel what's happening around your ribs, down the sides of your body? And then back the other way. Rest your hands. Ease forwards. And push back. Turn a little bit. Try not to take any of these movements for granted, because quite often a very simple movement like this will throw up some kind of image, or you'll notice something about it. And when that happens, after a while, you'll find that you notice it a lot more. It seems to happen a lot more. And the other way. So if you notice, for instance, maybe what your leg is doing as it pushes you back. Once you've noticed that, then you'll begin to use your leg more to make the movements happen, because you're just more aware of, if you like, the right way of doing things. And then doing that. So you recognize it, I suppose. Go back the other way. Feel how, as you move around, your pelvis rolls around. There's these little sort of like gentle curves in the spine. The spine should feel alive when we do these movements, not just like a piece of dead bone or something like that. Not that the bone is dead, but sit back. And with the string of pearls image, take a step forwards. And on the other side. And hands drop down. To the sides. Just wind them back a little bit, and then weight moving forwards. And just notice where your hands end up. here, roughly in line with your knees. And here, just very slightly behind your hips. Remember, when one part of your body is in motion, the whole body, the feet to the crown of your head, the fingers, the whole body is engaged in that movement one way or another. Whether actively creating the movement, transmitting the movement, maintaining the posture that allows the movement. And then pushing and casting out. So your hands will go a little bit further, because the momentum of the movement will swing them straight forwards. Mine are going to a point where they're just about in line with my toes. Remember that a big barrier to developing these movements, progressing in them, comes when we overuse the arms. This time imagine the ball between your arms and your chest. So as you come back, your hands are drawn over, elbows drop. So you're rolling the ball in towards your chest. And then pigeon spreads its wings. Pushing a wave. Again, really don't overextend your arms. elbows are hanging down, so again, your hands. The fullest extent, so see how they just touch my knees when I drop them down. And then hands loosely fisted. And turn. Good. Coming back. And push up. Remember, using your feet and your hips. Just feeling that gentle, sort of almost rippling feeling up and down your spine as back lengthens and contracts. And then the wild goose. and parting the veil. Dragon plucks the stars from the sky. One more time. And then both hands pushing in two directions. And your hands still slightly in front of your shoulders. There's always a temptation when we extend our arms to pull them back for some reason. I'll avoid that. What that will do is tighten up your back and your chest. You want both to be nice and open. Body expanding. If you think about that breathing method from the belly, expanding from the belly upwards, if you can feel that sort of action, not necessarily with your breathing, but feel the expansion, belly, solar plexus, and then the chest, you'll start to feel the sense of the energy that actually begins to move your arms for you. And this, of course, is where that trained awareness of small changes, small processes within your body really pays dividends, because suddenly we feel the whole quality of the movement changing, much more integrated, more fluid, and stronger. This time, add in the turn. But as soon as you lose that focus of attention on those internal processes, they seem to fade away. Put out. Dealing with this one, how the hips seem to get pulled back into the chair. So gravity works to draw your shoulders, your head, your arms and hands up without straining. When we change now to grasping the tiger's ears, see if you feel some of the same connections sort of working in reverse. So it's not quite so obvious, I think, as with the previous one. There's still movements coming from within your body, not causing you to stiffen, or to strain in your arms. Your arms and your hands just follow a very natural curve around when that happens. You're not contriving, you're not manipulating your arms or your shoulders. Switch sides. And change. Bring your feet back down. Move the weight forwards, turn and push in with your right shoulder, as though you're just pushing out in the direction of your right knee. I'm exaggerating a little bit, you'll see my posture go out of line because of that. Go back to the middle, go to the other way. So back into the right this time. And to the left. And each time you do this, when you go forwards, look for a feeling of a little bit of a kind of expansion as you go forward. If you were pushing something, the intent would sort of, you give it a good shove with the shoulder. Another example of where that mind-body connection really adds something to the movement. And an important something, because without that, it's going to be difficult to get the arms involved in this next movement without it becoming very complicated. just let your arms hang down. So now as you go back into your right and you turn to the right, your right hand goes forward a little bit, your left hand goes back. And when you're in the middle, they're both hanging down by your sides. When you go forward into the left hand goes forwards, the right hand goes back to the middle. As you get more relaxed in the movement, you get a more dynamic feeling coming from your feet and your hips. I'm aware of the expansion and the contraction in the upper part of the body. That comes with that sense of pushing, and that expansion will push your arms out. And so we get wind blows the willows. And what could be a bit of a kind of scramble with our arms and our hands, actually you see is a natural progression, a natural evolution from the simple movement of your weight and the awareness of the difference that things like turning in your hips and so on make. The wind blows the willows, and if you're comfortable with the next sort of stage of this, then as you go into your right foot, you're going to raise the left into whatever height, whatever posture is good for you. Don't let your hands go too high. Hands should go no higher than your shoulders. Some of you look as though you're lifting your hands up very high. That could just be the camera angle. Generally speaking, once our hands go above the shoulders, it becomes more difficult to keep them in touch with what's going on elsewhere in the body. One more time. And then hands back, resting back down again and doing the circling movement, feeling the pelvis rolling around like a ball, and your shoulders, your head following. And in fact, what you also notice is that there's movement in your arms. If your hands were resting on the table, this is what they would do. Not doing anything at all with the arms. Go back the other way. And then alternating the movements, so you circle around to your left, come back to the middle, circle around to your right. Now your arms start to follow. We're going to stir in the beams in one direction and in the other. one more on each side. And rest again. Once again, giving your attention a chance to settle. Focusing on feet, hips, breathing, weight sinking down. Any or all of those. Okay, and then rubbing your hands together. And tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder. And the arm. Side. Up your chest. Belly. And importantly, just before you stand up, get your legs working again. Tap in the legs. Okay, and then standing. So you can see when we're seated, the chair is supporting us. Here, it's our legs that are supporting us, obviously. So the correct posture and awareness of where your weight is and so on and so forth are really important. It's like, you know, if I would say to you, sit down again, you wouldn't just go and sort of like flop down. You'd probably put a hand out to locate your chair. You might even move the chair a little bit to be sure of where it was. So you know, we have to take some time for that, and you know, everybody does that. So it's a natural thing. So we just use that same process in a sense of locating where we want the weight to settle to apply to our feet and our legs, and then sinking down and push on. And your body expanding and contracting. The sort of start and finish of the cycle is with your weight down in your feet, your attention down in your feet. And then wild goose. Passing the clouds. the shaker. One foot forwards. Transferring your weight. And again, if you like, the cycle of movement starts and finishes each time your weight settles into one foot. So significantly, it's in that moment of settling that we raise toes and heel. So it's the settling that enables or initiates the step. So if you're standing there thinking, oh, I can't do this, I'm too wobbly, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. Actually, the first thing you need to do is to focus your attention. There's other things as well, don't get me wrong. But it's that settling that enables us to get a sense of the posture that gives us the stability. Remember, I'm not asking you to balance. I don't like to use the term balance for this because it has a different meaning in Tai Chi for one thing. And in any case, you're not going to balance. You're going to be stable, aligned, and rooted, and you're going to be aware of that. And those are the things that will enable you to take the step. Good. On the other side. Don't lean. Push from the foot. Remember, I said we can notice that when we're in the chair. So you recall that memory. You kind of retrieve that information that you noted before, and you can make use of it here. What that means is this. Body stays upright. Keep going. Let me show you something. I don't know. I've done this a few times. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Let's see. I can find something. This might work better. So here. Okay. So I don't know how this will work. It's quite light. If I do this, if I nudge it with my foot, it stays upright as it moves along. You see? I know it's not moving very far. But if I nudge it at the top, it falls straight over. So if you're leaning, if you're not aware of your posture and the upright posture and so on and so forth, and you're leaning forwards to move rather than pushing yourself, you're creating the circumstances where you're more likely to fall. So now raising your toes and your heel. So it's not complicated, it's difficult. But one thing that makes it difficult is that we don't understand what's involved in it. And it's really crucial to recognize that quieting of attention, that focusing of your attention is a key part of it. It's, as I said, it's part of the initiation of the whole movement. And then step in. spoken to quite a lot of people who've had the misfortune to fall. Quite often, I always try and ask, do you know how it happened? And quite often the answer is, well, I'm not sure. Suddenly I found myself on the floor. I don't know what happened, which I think is a very strong indication that that loss of attention is often associated with falling in one way or another. Check it out. Now, have your right foot forward. I want you to mirror my movements. So, fisherman cast a net. You're looking ahead. You're moving forwards and backwards. Both arms are swinging forwards and backwards together. Remember those little changes from the seated exercises in back, ribs and sides. Notice how when you take the time to remember, oh yeah, I remember that, suddenly you'll notice those same processes going on in this exercise standing. They'll seem to suddenly generate the movement. Now, go forward into your right foot, turn to your left. So now your right hand goes forward, your left hand goes back. Swing back, turn to your right towards the front foot, left hand goes forward, right hand goes back. And remember, as you sink into the leg, you create that expansion upwards. Again, that's another thing that we can recall from the chair-based exercises. The role of the weight sinking and the expansion upwards that comes out of that. And we have wind blows to the nose. There'll be a part of your mind that wants to really do stuff with your arms. Just tell it to go away. Bring your attention back to your feet, your weight, your hips. And then if you're comfortable with this, just raising your toes and your heel. And again, if it's comfortable for you, back to the step. Another thing to avoid is to think about how you coordinate the movement. Coordination implies there's more than one thing happening. Remember, when one part of the body is in motion, the whole body is in motion. It's one movement of mind and body. You shake out. The other side. Fisherman cast a net. Go forward and turn. Don't just swing your arms around. Notice how your arms respond to the turning in your body. Again, I can see some people's arms are going up quite high. But look how low my arms are. So I'm still thinking of the turning. It's only when I start to think in terms of bring that expansion and contraction into the movement that my arms go a little bit higher. And you know, if all your attention is in the arms, you're going to be top heavy. and you're going to lose the root, lose the stability of the movement. And then raising your toes and your heel. Remind yourself of that feeling of settling and quieting, because that's the point at which here, when you go into your back foot, that begins the whole cycle of movement. When we transfer the weight, we feel it in the front foot, we settle, and that begins the whole cycle of movement. And if it's comfortable for you, step it in. Dragonfly skims the water. Just good. And bring your feet back now. Good. So that stillness, that quietness is a rare commodity in our culture, I think. We were talking about that before, weren't we? 24-hour news cycles and things like that. This time of year should be a time for quieting down, I think, but all too often we get busy. Although this year it may be the opposite way around for some people. But nevertheless, it's a good time of year to think about that quietening, to think about that stillness. It shouldn't be a kind of dull thing. It should be quite vibrant, really. So whatever you do over the next sort of like couple of weeks, do try and remember to take some time out for that quieting in one way or another, however you choose to do it. We'll be back in the first week of January. So enjoy your break, whatever it is you're doing. Thank you very, very much for all your support and your enthusiasm and attendance this year. I know it's been a very difficult year for people and difficult for all of us. I hope the classes have helped with that, and I think for myself, being able to carry on teaching and to do what I love doing has very much helped me to negotiate these difficult times. And if you hadn't been here, I wouldn't have been able to do it, quite simply. So as I said before, it really wouldn't be the same without you. So have a great Christmas and a happy New Year, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year, one way or another. So now, embrace tiger, return to mountain. And then just rest. Lovely. Thank you again, everybody. Keep well and enjoy yourselves. And with a bit of luck, I'll see you very soon.